So another part of my morning routine or my routine before I do my yoga practice or my swimming or whatever other activity, physical activity I'm going to do, some dumbbells, kettlebells, a little bit of strength training. This is what I do to warm up my joints. So I come with the feet hip width apart and I change the positions of where I do these exercises. We can do them in numerous ways just to change the base position, but the movements are the same. And so let's start simple. We're standing, I'm anchoring through my feet, my toe mounts are pushing toes nice and long, and I'm squeezing a block. So squeezing into the side of the body, lengthening tall, and then the chin drops. Rotating towards the left shoulder, lifting the chin up, rotating the head. Then the chin tries to come behind the left shoulder. I'm passing through the collarbones and I continue to move on through. Now here I'm continuously emphasizing on maintaining the length into the entire body. So when I lift my chin up, I'm not crushing the back of my neck, putting too much pressure in the discs. I'm still thinking of elongating that sense of offloading the joint and decompressing. Then I go to the other side, I rotate. And so if we're not doing this with this sense of elongation of axial extension, then we're kind of compressing into the joints. In this case, it's the neck. So we're putting more pressures on the disc. Not that it's a bad thing to put some pressure on the disc, but it depends on how we do it, and it depends also on the frequency. And so we don't want to be grinding through the vertebrae and the discs. Sometimes because of how our vertebrae are made, we might also be grinding and pressing through those protrusions of the vertebrae as the neck goes back, kind of pushing towards each other. So we always want to maintain that sense of length, especially now with our appliances, electronic appliances, that we always have that forward chin posture. So we're trying to correct it, thinking of nose pushing towards the back of the head. The arms are squeezing to the side of the body. And imagine here, these trousers of mine have a seam here. So I'm going to try and keep my thumb, or it could also be the index, on the seam. So as I'm lifting my shoulders up, my arms are moving up in space. But as I squeeze my shoulder blades together in retraction, my middle finger stays on the seam of the trouser, and then I go down. The same as I protract my shoulder blades. The finger stays in the same axis, it doesn't move. At the same time, my feet are still pushing into the floor, the thighs are squeezing, the core is engaging. And that's another topic. What does that mean and how do we do it? Then we reverse. We squeeze back, we lift up, opening the shoulder blades apart and down. So we have retraction as we squeeze the shoulder blades together, elevation as we lift them up, protraction as we spread them away from the spine, and depression as we push down. Back, up, forward, down, and back to neutral. Then we go into our thoracic spine. And here, I'm just going to take a ball, and you don't have to have a ball. You can just cross your hands in front of your chest. But I like the feedback from this courageous ball that helps me to lift and control more my spine. So shoulders down, feel the elbows pulling towards the floor to keep that anchoring of the shoulder blades. And I'm going to try and not move my pelvis at all. So I'm starting my thoracic flexion, and I stop to the point where I feel that my hips want to push back, but I don't let them push back. Then I rotate left. I'm rotating to my right. So probably as you see me, it's going to look like left. Then I'm side bending here to my right. So I'm keeping still my shoulders down, but I'm not crushing into my ribs. I'm not pushing my hips away. My pelvis has stayed, and I'm thinking of lengthening my ribs as far away from my hip as possible. And I keep that length as I go into my extension, pushing the sternum into the ball or into your hands or the arms, and the arms are pushing back. And from here, a side bend to the other side, rotating, passing from the midline and continuing in the same direction. Heart lifts, side bending, rotating, continuing the rotation. In the side bend, I find that axial extension still, lifting the chest up, side bending, rotating and back to center. And then I reverse. I take it to the left, my left. I side bend. Heart lifts up, pushes into the ball. Side bending, rotating here from the side bend. The right shoulder goes back, the left shoulder rotates forward. And at the same time, I'm pushing my feet firmly. I'm engaging my legs, my thighs, my buttocks, so that I don't move my pelvis. It's as if from the hips down, I'm in a cast or in a mold, and nothing else can move, only my upper back. And that goes the thoracic chest mobility. I'll leave the ball to the side, and I take my tune-up balls. We're going to do the shoulders, and you can do it just standing with your feet hip-width apart, the feet pushing away, or you can do it with your left foot forward, right foot back, squeezing your hands, squeezing the balls. You can have tennis balls, you can have lemons. Just make sure the lemons are not too ripe. And so hips forward, shoulders forward, nice tall in your spine, and with your feet, you're stretching the floor apart. Abs are engaging, but I'm not squeezing in. I'm pushing out as if somebody tries to punch me or tap me, and everything. I'm pushing outwardly, engaging. Buttocks are engaging, starting with my left arm. It comes diagonally in front, up to the side of the ear, and push the arm as far behind you as you can, but you're not allowed to use spine, so the spine remains. Rotate the arm from the shoulder, not just your wrist or your forearm, from the shoulder, and continue to rotate the arm. When the arm finds that point, it's gonna do the rotation that it needs to. Some points, like here, I'm rotating, but it's not moving anywhere else, but the action is still there. And then I make the circle. I lift it as far as I can. I push a little more without losing my stability, and then I rotate out. I lift up. The arm comes diagonally in front of me just to work also the adduction. And again, the same time, a part of squeezing the balls as if I'm holding for dear life, I'm also feeling that the air is very dense and heavy, almost as if I'm moving in a gel-like liquid that is very sticky and dense. And rotating. So two things are happening. A rotation of the arm into the shoulder joint and a circle in space. The entire body is still active. I'm still thinking of pushing my feet, stretching the floor apart, engaging my abs. The air is heavy and dense. I don't forget the squeezing of the balls, and I try to keep my wrist straight. Now to the other side. What tends to happen, let me speak correct English, is that we start to move the arm and then our body is turning. We try not to. So if somebody is only watching my body and my legs without being able to see my right arm, they cannot tell that something is moving. This is how still the rest of my body is. My arm is in a complete internal rotation. I keep the internal rotation as I go to shoulder extension. I find the edge, I push a little more, and then I rotate out. And when I rotate out, I don't just forget the rotation and just move the arm up. I keep actively rotating Even if there's no more rotation happening and only the circle, I'm still squeezing the ball. Rep number 2, and 3 times. If you're doing it with enough muscular activation, you don't need to do more. You only need to do more if we're not able to have enough body control and awareness, if we're not able to engage the muscles as much. Gonna find after the 3rd rep, your muscles have already fatigued. And as you can see, because I'm putting the effort, my speech is not as well, my brain doesn't work that much. Multitasking is difficult. Rotating and rotating, rotating. Plus, I'm not a comedian. Wish I was. Lift up, rotate. What I mean to say, my jokes might not be as funny, but that's okay. Great. Now, your arms should be tired. Of course, if you're just getting out of bed and you want to do this routine to just get your body going, you don't need to engage as much, yeah? And so we've done neck, shoulder blades, shoulders, thoracic spine, and now we're going to go to our elbows. The upper arm is not going to move, the forearm is going to rotate into the elbow. So the pits of our elbows are going to be looking forward. So imagine if you would have laser lights on your elbows, they're pointing to a point and they're just staying there. So they're not moving. And the upper arms are squeezing to the side of the body. Imagine you have 500 euro bills, so fine, they're there, and you're squeezing them. You don't want to lose them. It's 1,000 euros in every armpit. And that's just me being funny once again. Bending your elbows, squeezing your hands to the shoulders. Rotate now your forearms. Keep that rotation as you push down with resistance. So like arm wrestling, imagine you have somebody fighting you, pushing you up, and you're needing to put a lot of effort to engage the core, your buttocks, your feet grounding into the floor to win over that force that is resisting you. So here, if you're noticing my arms are starting to tremble, let's do 2 reps of this and you get the idea. And then we reverse. The back of the hands is coming at the same time. I'm thinking that my collarbones are nice and long. My chest is lifted, but what I mean, not pushing your rib cage out. Spine is still straight, reverse. Back of the hands coming in. Squeeze when you reach at the end. Don't just relax, push a little more, then rotate. And when you stretch, keep that rotation action active. And let's finish. By now you should feel both biceps and triceps tired. We go to the wrists, fingers go in without moving the forearm, down, to the side and up. Let's do once more in this direction. And when you're standing, be mindful that you're not just pushing your knees back and kind of relaxing, letting your pelvis go into the anterior tilt or the opposite. Keep your quads alive, holding up your entire body. Feet are pushing, your legs are straight, but you're not just locking your knees. Relax everything, and then we'll go close to the wall. Probably you can still see me here. And we're going to go to the hip. So from here, you can use your hand to push your hip down. You can squeeze your hand into fist, or you can take your tennis ball. And so your knees coming up towards the chest. When you think you've found your max, see if you can lift it up a little more. Open it to the side. Rotate your thigh in. Circle it behind you. And then pull it forward. Now here, trying to monitor that your pelvis is not moving. So you're getting your hip extension without your pelvis spilling forward. Then abduction to the side. Rotate out. Now don't be too much in a hurry to bring the leg forward. Lift it up higher. See how much flexion you can find in abduction. Then rotate out. Continue to rotate as you bring it diagonally in front of you and then down. Lift it up again. Find the edge. Neutral with your thigh, up towards the chest, open. Now, if you try to rotate and it's not moving anymore, you can let your knee come a little lower, lift the heel a little higher, but without piking your hip up, but only just marginally, to the degree that you find that you're still able to maintain your maximal length. Push back, feel your buttocks engage, imagine you're kicking a heavy box, up, rotate, higher up, to the degree that you have strength to take it, and then down diagonal in front of you. Let's do one more. Lift up. Heel up higher than the knee wants to go, then neutral. Bring it up higher, open it to the side. And as you do that, we all have the tendency to want to push and go towards the wall. Try not to. Push back, maintain pelvis. So the front of the body needs to work to maintain that pelvis. Keep lifting. Diagonal, it's coming down. And let's change. Press the floor into the floor. And when we're moving the leg, we don't want to also fall into the hip. So try to stay into your axis. Start with your flexion. Find the edge, push a little more, open out. Rotate. Try not to move the pelvis. Circle behind you. And bring it forward. Push back. Maintain pelvis. And if you notice, the degrees of hip extension is not a lot. Yeah? So if you're there and your thigh is way, way back, probably the pelvis has moved. Knee up. And so what we're trying to do is to stabilize the rest of the body parts and move that specific part that we're working. In this case, we immobilize the pelvis and we try to move the thigh into the hip. Push back, open the hip, lift to the side, rotate, up, and bring it down. And once again, up, neutral, open, rotate, heel up, send the leg behind you, rotate and bring it forward. Push it behind you, find the edge, push a little more and lift, up, keep the rotation, and down. Beautiful. Then we go to our knees. Sit on a chair or on a block. You could also do it standing, but at the beginning might be a little bit more challenging. And so interlace your fingers, take your left thigh. You could also bring your arm, take your upper arm, and then block your thigh. The intention is that the knee all the way to the hip, so your femur bone, your thigh, is not moving at all. So what we're going to try and mobilize is the tibia. Now the foot is flexed to have good contraction of the tibialis, of the tibia muscles. And then we try to rotate the tibia in and out without moving the leg in and out. So I choose to hold it. And as I'm pulling it in, I'm lengthening the spine. I rotate the tibia out and I stretch. Rotate the tibia in and bend. Out. Now as you do that, imagine you have an elastic band that pulls you in the opposite direction. Rotate in. The elastic is pulling up. Out. So it's as if I'm pulling my leggings. Yeah, it gives a sense of resistance. So that gives a little bit more action. Let's reverse the direction. But you could also do it by yourself. Bring your hand underneath and try to bend, but resist it with your hand. In, extend, out, and flex. In and extend, out, flex, and in. Let's go to the other side. Flex, externally rotate. Try to recreate internally rotate and flex. Nice and tall, rotate out and stretch. Rotate in and flex. And again, out and extend. In and flex and stay in. Reverse. Stretch. Out flex, in, stretch, out, flex, and in with resistance though. Great. And then pointed toes, hold your leg, sit upright, and begin to move your foot into the ankle. So the tibia now is not moving. I'm holding it tight. The knees bend. Reverse, out, up, in and down. So it's like how we did with the hands, with the wrists, with the hand into the wrist. 3 circles each direction, and then we go to the other side. Point well, sit upright and tall, and start to rotate the foot. You try to, every time, make the circle a little bigger. So as if you had magic marker or paint on your toes. Every time, reverse the circle. Sometimes I get carried away and I talk and I talk and I talk and I forget where we're at. So we've reversed the direction. And as I was saying, if you would have magic paint on your toes, every time you pass from the circle, you try to make it a little larger, but not compensating by moving other body parts to make it larger. The last thing we do is the toes. You look at your toes and you try to move the toes in different ways. If they're not very obedient, look at them. And if they're still not moving, use your fingers to begin to give that input to what your toes have to do by themselves. So lift your big toe up as high as you can, big toe down. Big toe comes up and then it goes down. Once more it lifts and then down. Now keep the big toe down and lift the 4 toes up and down. And notice when you do that, if your feet are dropping in or out, and try to maintain the feet stable and just move your toes. Then lift all 5 toes up. Bring your your big toe down and up. Big toe down and up. And last one time, down and up. Then keep all of them up, spread them out, and 1 toe at a time, they're coming to the floor. And once again, all of them up, spread, 1 toe at a time. And last one, spread, 1 toe at a time. So this could be your morning routine to bring movement into your body, to warm up your joints, especially if you're waking up and you're feeling super stiff. It's always good to do it. You can sit on the bed, you can do your neck circles, you can do your shoulder blade circles. Sometimes this is what I do, still sitting in bed, feet on the ground. Of course, I'm not just sitting in bed with my legs straight. I turn to the side of the bed, the feet are down. I do my neck, I do my shoulder blades, I do my thoracic, I do my arms. And then I go and make coffee, and as I'm standing there waiting for the coffee to be done, I do my hips. Things are a little faster. I do my elbows fast. I do my wrists just to wake up the body. But if I'm going to do a workout or a yoga practice, then I have a little bit more engagement. I do things a little slower because I want to go a little deeper into the joint. Yeah, get more of those little muscles warmed up. More range of motion, more muscular activation. So you can always message me with any questions, any special requests. Let me know. I'll be happy to respond. Thank you. How are you finding this useful?